Hey,
What you up to, Megan?
sitting here. I just got a new chair. It's very nice, very comfy. I've been sitting in basically a table chair, kitchen chair that hurts. And so I've been sitting on a pillow, and this one's very nice. Nobody can see it, but it has lumbar supports. I can sit all the way back. Very nice, very good. Um, yeah, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Hanging in there. Making it through. We're premiering this, well, not premiering, but like we're releasing this episode in February. And I am currently in December. Well, I mean you are too. But things are things are coming along in this divorce. So kind of nervous about that, but it's okay.
Chugga
It's good to
chugga.
have a good conversation with a good friend, so
That's so
before it happens.
nice. That's me.
Yeah. Yes, it is you. Um, what we are talking about this time around, this lovely episode, is surviving 10th grade. And I do just want to do a little disclaimer that any friends and family that would be uncomfortable with us talking about um, our first loves and everything that kind of like goes into that, I'm sure your imagination can run wild with that. But if you do not want to hear any of that, then this is not the podcast for you. And I would check out the next episode, Surviving 11th Grade.
Correct. This episode will not be for you if you don't want to hear any of that mumbo jumbo stuff that your daughter, your granddaughter, your sister, whatever else, your cousin. Yeah. If you don't want to listen to that, then you don't have to. You can kindly exit the video now, and we will let you know when we're gonna get into it, and then you can be like, "Bye, see you later. Love the episode. I got 3 minutes in. Gotta go."
You should exit the video. I just want to preference we're on a podcast, we're not on a video, but
Ooh,
we see each other while
same
we're
thing.
talking. So that's probably why she said
exit,
it.
exit the podcast.
Click coffee. Click coffee. I'm not saying coffee. I'm saying click off E. Click
Click
off.
coffee.
Um, so do you want to get us started on this lovely conversation about 10th grade? I mean, we went into 10th grade pretty much getting used to the whole like different classes things, right? Like we were in a completely separate hallway now. I really don't remember a lot in terms of like what classes I was taking, who my teachers were. Um, I think that entire year really was a blur because as we all know, Miranda's boy crazy and like when that when that boy is there, that's what's there. All right. And I went into 10th grade still having the biggest crush on JA. But something else ended up popping up. We spoke a little bit about that in the ninth grade episode. Um, but as mentioned in the ninth grade episode, we spoke a little too soon. So Casey ended up entering into my life during 10th grade.
Da, da, da. Um,
No.
right. So, like Miranda said, lovely Casey went and entered into Miranda's life, and lovely, BO, stinky, stinky, smelly. No, just kidding. No hate. No hate to you now. If you're even listening to this, I doubt you're not, but doubt you are. But yeah, then that's when that happened, and let me tell you, if you wanted juicy gossip, if you wanted all the details, let me tell you, this is the episode for you to listen. Uh, never have I ever, never did I ever think. That's a lot of never, ever, ever. Uh, think that we would ever be telling this, my side, your side.
I mean, you and I have talked about this a lot, but I don't think we've gotten into like the nitty gritty of everything. Um, I know in general there was a lot of opinions from you going forward with my relationship with Casey, and it's okay. I mean, we've always been very opinionated speaking friends, so I feel like that's only right. I just wanna let you know, though, I was the supportive friend for your relationship with BO.
I wouldn't say I wasn't supportive, but I definitely think that I was a little bit more hesitant about it at first. But like at the time, I feel like you both kind of matched each other's energy well. I feel like for at the time you were the right people for each other at the time, even if you didn't think so, or I mean, everybody comes and teaches you a lesson and then leaves or comes and stays and whatnot. So
You taught me a lot of lessons. And I'm not even talking, like, in the good sense. I'm like, I learned a lot during that relationship. I did not mean that, like, dirty.
always sleep in public when you don't want to
Always
do
sleep in
anything.
public. Oh, yeah, that was his number 1 teachings. He never wanted to do anything, he just wanted to sleep. But you know what? I'm starting to see a trend. Like, damn, okay, like, mindfuck. I'm starting to see a trend that I pick guys who have no motivation in life. Besides
Miranda,
JA, let's go back to that. JA had really great motivation in life. Um, he had great, we'll get to him. He comes up. But like KC literally did not ever want to be at school
that is true.
and like literally just slept in every class.
Well, wasn't I was gonna say, wasn't he held back a year too?
He was held back a year, and I won't explain why he was held back in kindergarten. It was stupid. I don't actually know if I believe it now that I'm thinking about it. At the time, I believed it.
Oh, I just meant like I didn't think that he graduated with us. Like I thought he got held back again and had to repeat senior year.
No, he left after we broke up and the whole like SN thing happened, which we'll get into. He left and ended up moving to his mom's.
Oh,
And then he
okay.
got like I think he like went for his GED or something. I don't know if he got it, but I think that was his destination at that point. Destiny, I guess, is what I meant instead of destination, but that worked too. Do you do you want to go into yours? Or do I have to go into mine first?
I can do mine first if you want me to do mine
Yeah,
first.
you do yours first.
Oh Lord.
You've been ready to talk about this.
I mean, it's a lot to talk
I'm here for
about.
moral
I can
support.
just I can just tell you now that everybody that I was friends with at that time, that like close friends with at that time, were involved in it. Um, and I think future me, now me, would like to apologize for having y'all be involved in it because that was definitely way, way, way too much. Oh, shut up, Miranda, not you. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. I love you.
Damn!
No, I'm just kidding. Um, but no, I mean, RJ and JR and KS and HS. And I think even like there was a couple other people that were involved in that too that were kind of like mediators eventually. Um, but I mean, I guess I can, start at the start. So, like I had mentioned in our ninth grade episode, um, me and BO had actually met in 10th grade at a football game or something, and I don't even remember really where we met. Doesn't really matter. And um, at the time, like again, if you listen to the first couple podcast episodes, my mom was one of those people who was very protective, and I'm her only child and flesh and blood, so she's gonna like freak out over everything. And they eventually, I was like, "Hey, mom, I really like this guy, and he really likes me too, and I think we want to date." And she was like, "Oh, do you now?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Can I?" And so we eventually start dating, and we didn't really date for a long time, but again, my whole friend group were those people that I listed at the beginning, that I kind of hung out with a little bit more, I feel like, through 10th grade, and where you had your friend group. Like, we still hung out, like, outside of school because we lived across the street from each other, but
Mhm.
we kind of found our own friend groups and stuff that year. And so me and BO barely dated like 2 months, maybe. Um, and I was the one that broke up with him. I, I hung out with his
This
family.
is Megan.
I know I'm such a terrible person. Uh, it's just I felt like he was going. I just felt like he was going too fast, I guess, and in my 14, 15-year-old brain. Um, and yeah, I can't say. I guess I can't say too much about it, like his parents. Otherwise, I feel like people might know, but also they might not because I don't really feel like a lot of people knew him except for um, SB and NS because those were his two main friends. And so hung out with his family a couple times, hung out with him by myself a couple times. He was so nervous to, like, for first kiss because he never kissed anybody, I never kissed anybody kind of situation, and we kissed behind, like, to the back right of my mother's car, and it was very awkward. And the only other kiss that I remember with him was in the back of a Kohl's in the card section. And I was giving him a kiss, and I opened my eyes for a second. He was just like full on staring at me through this kiss, and I'm just like, all right, a little weird. And I had to mention that. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And so I mean, yeah, he got me like a necklace, I believe, for Christmas, and I don't remember the reason for breaking up with him 2 days later. Like I said, I felt like he was moving too fast, and that's why I did it. And of course, Facebook drama at the time, and he put a post on that said like, "Oh, that's okay. There's people that you realize that weren't there before," and I realized that eventually because I was like, sent my little creepy minion friends out there. No, some of my friends out there sent myself digging, but
I'm trying to think of these creepy minion friends that you're talking about, like the ones that are listed here,
yeah, I'm not saying they're
or
creepy, but
people.
like, no, I'm not saying they're creepy. I'm trying to be funny. Um, not funny, I guess. Anyway, um, me and my friends went and were like, all right, who is he after now? And so, of course, I feel like we have so many people that have A as their name, but another AS, and yeah, that's where things kind of went south because for whatever reason, I guess he just assumed that he could be the biggest player of all time, and went back and forth between the two of us. The next thing I remember was like me asking him like, "No, I'm not done with you," and I think it was just more me being like not ready to be done with my first boyfriend, first like love, because they say like, "Oh, you always love your first love," or "Oh, you always had your feelings for them," and that's not true. Like now I can tell you for sure that's not true, but at the time I was definitely like heartbroken and and I was like, no, but I'll always love you kind of thing. And yeah, no, that could not be any more far from the truth now. um that would be great, but
Would it be great to still love him?
no, I said I hope you're great.
Oh, I thought you said that would be great. I was
Oh
like,
heck
no, it
no.
wouldn't. No, like
No, no,
we're
no, no,
good.
we're good. um So yeah, and then in February, I believe we had a winter ball dance that I ended up going with mainly my friends, but him as well. And then I saw him again at our prom, and we got caught kissing next to the bathrooms by our assistant principal. I just remember he would leave me notes under my keyboard because he had a class that was ahead of mine, and um, there was a time where RJ and I actually we took all the notes, we put them in a bowl at her house, and we burned them inside of her house. We should have burned them outside of the house because there was a lot of smoke. But yeah, we burned all the notes in her house in a bowl, and I have a photo of
Megan.
that. I have a photo of them burning like somewhere. I don't know where, but I was like, I don't want to
It's
deal with
okay.
these. And she was like, Oh, I have notes that
Yeah.
I want to burn too. So we just did it.
Guys, there's a trash can.
Or you could burn them and get rid of the evidence.
Were you discussing murder?
No, but you know.
You get rid of the evidence by throwing it away too.
Okay, well, we burned them, so sorry about your luck, but you can't stop me because that was like 12 years ago. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there was a lot back and forth between me and this other girl, and there was a lot of, there's just a lot. Uh, at one point, I feel like, and looking back at it now, and I was talking to Miranda about this the other day, I feel like because I'm not going to read them word for word, but I have some messages here from like the aftermath of some things and all of that, but I feel like they were both kind of in on it, and I feel like after I had broken up with him that it was always going to be her regardless, which of course my brain at the time couldn't handle and couldn't understand, and I was just upset. And then also I remember Miranda getting in on it with his girlfriend at the time, AS, and they like fought with each other. I don't remember what was said. I don't remember what was said, but I know y'all went off on
I
each
don't
other.
remember this at all. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I'm telling you, that whole entire year was a blur. I was going through my own crap at this moment.
I mean, fair. But yeah, there was a point where you all like just went at it through text, and then she had messaged me and she was like, oh yeah, because I have messages from her too, but she was like, I don't know. She's like, can you tell your friend to stop and all this other stuff? And she had all of her friends in on, and I had all my friends in on, and it was just like this big catty girl fight that nobody cared about because none of us were popular, and so nobody cared about our drama and our lives. But if you do now, listen up. No,
We got it. We
that's
got
that's
it.
a
We
that's a
got some drama.
that's a long story. It's more than just he said, she said, fighting, all that other stuff. So basically, the I don't know if it was summer into junior year. It had to have been summer into junior year, or maybe summer into sophomore year. One of those. Again, timelines are very hard, but this went on from sophomore year until the beginning of junior year, maybe past junior year. That's how bad this was. But one of those summers, I got grounded the entire summer. Um, and that is very valid. Like I said, I'm not going to be reading all of these. I feel like I'm being very vague, but I'm not going to read all of these off. But like I said, it was one big, like, really a love triangle, but if you want to call it that for better lack of better words, between the three of us. And I would just reach out and message him because, and to be fair, like I feel like I'm still very needy, but I feel like I've dialed it back a lot. And I just felt like I was very needy towards him.
I don't know. Yeah, okay.
You sounded like airplane.
I'm just chiming in with my little input of you're still fucking needy. Love you, but you are. I don't know if that will ever go away though.
I don't think it's as bad as it was back then, but I did say I was needy. Okay, she give me a look. get get her off the screen. Oh. Oh.
I mean, okay, bye.
No. So yeah, so I mean, here we go with reading some of these messages. Like I said, it was my first boyfriend, and it was just like, but this is at the end of it where things got really, really bad, and we were both kind of like done with each other, but I wasn't done with him, and he was moving on to another girl, and they were all playing with each other, and so I was basically just voicing my feelings. I was just, I wish that everything could go back the way it was, and that I wish it was still sophomore year, and oh yeah, so it had to have been summer of junior year. Because I dated another kid too. His name started with a B, and I can't remember his last name. It barely lasted a month. Oh yeah, BC, before conch shells. Um, I said it conch shells. Um, Before cheese.
I am muted this entire time she's talking because I'm trying to eat banana muffins, and I'm so sorry, guys, that she's on her own.
Mean. All right. Anyway, I will continue. So, like I said, this lasted longer than sophomore year, and that's why sophomore year is a blur. Um, but I was just like, because everybody was still friends, everybody was still at our school, and it was good. And he just kept coming to me, and he was like, "Oh, I'm breaking it off with my girlfriend. Like, um, it's too much." And again, not downplaying anything that he said, but he was like, "Oh yeah, I had a conversation with God, and that's what we talked about, and you were a topic in this too." All the meanwhile, as well, his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, whatever she was at the time, was coming to me, and she was like, "If he ever comes and says anything to you, and whatever, just push him back to me because he's having his like episode things again where he runs off and he doesn't want to do anything, and I really love him and I don't want to lose him. So will you just tell him like that I love him and to come and talk to me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, totally," and all this stuff. So again, that's why I feel like I was kind of a pawn in the middle. I just feel like they were big, like two people that were involved in this thing, and they knew the whole time, and I was just there. I don't know. Um, so anyway, apparently his topic with God was that he had asked him how he could love himself and how I could be so good to him and why he was being given this generosity. And he didn't answer, but he said date you, but before he does that, he has to come to terms with loving himself before putting anybody in his life. And so I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cute." And he was like, "How is it cute?" I was being dead serious, and I was like, "Okay." I guess he was going to military camp. Basically, the reason why I was grounded for the whole entire summer. Him and I would also text. I have none of the text messages anymore. I only have past Facebook messages that I had to go and scroll a million miles to get to. So, yep. So the reason I was grounded the whole entire summer, him and I would send messages back and forth to each other. Um, there was a couple first things that we did, but not necessarily like the huge thing that everybody does in high school.
Damn. Low blow, Meg. Low blow.
I didn't mean it like that.
Low blow. Uh-uh.
Listen, I say it like that because I think I also deep down in my like heart and soul I wanted to, but at the same time I was very nervous about it.
Ooh, Miss V, did you hear that?
I just hope she didn't doesn't listen. Listen, this is coming from our parents who literally had us when they were like 19 and 20, and this is 15, 16, 17, so not far off.
Okay, our moms definitely both had us at 22.
My mom had me at 21. Still, was still young.
The math ain't mathin' on that one, Miss V.
The math ain't mathin'. As a sidetrack from the whole me being grounded for summer for a second, he asked about my one boyfriend. He was like, "Well, if you've loved me for this long, well then what was up with the other guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, I liked him, but like, I just realized that he wasn't for me." I don't know. Like the only thing that we ever did was hug, and I think we kissed once, but
Am I wrong, or were there other reasons why he wasn't for you? If you know what I mean.
well, I'm not sure, and I don't want to assume somebody's sexuality because I still am not sure, but
Okay. All right.
that's
Valid.
why.
Gotcha.
So again, he was giving me this petty, like response of like, "Oh, you didn't fight for me, you didn't want me," and I was like, "No, I wanted you." I was like, "I just didn't know what to do," um, and this was again why all these messages are messed up from when I sent them to you, but I feel like I'm rambling.
It's okay. That's what you're supposed to do about this topic. Like, Don't read off the messages, just tell us how you felt about it. Tell us what happened after.
Well,
Talk about what you would tell your younger self if you were your mother. So I feel like your mom just kinda came from a point of, like, "You're not gonna have sex with him, you're not gonna do this with him, you're not gonna" like, "I'm gonna get you on birth control right away, da 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 da."
well, I never even got to the point with all of that, but the point was because when we were texting, we were talking about like having sex and having babies and all this stuff. And like, if I took like look back at that now, and I'm just like, oh my god, like no, 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 like you were not ready for a child. You were not ready to do that yet. Like for me personally, like everybody's different, you know. If you had sex in high school, if you waited until you were 20,
I
if you
mean,
waited
like,
until you were married, but like
I was
15,
15, 16, 15, 16 at that point? Okay.
yeah. But yeah, we were talking about all this stuff, and of course, boy doesn't want to get caught, so he's like, "Oh, just make sure you delete all of it off your phone." And I knew better in my head. I was like, "You know what? No, I'm not, because if I'm getting in trouble, then he's gonna get in trouble. Like, uh, if I'm going down, you're going down, basically." And I woke up one morning and my heart was racing because I couldn't find my phone, and I was just like, "Shit." Like she found my phone, she found these messages. She's gonna freak out before I have time to explain to her what's really going on. Like I never ever planned to have sex with this kid. I knew that in my head. She did not know that in her parent brain. She just saw the messages. So that ended up in a her calling his mom and them saying like we're going to sit down and we're going to have you talk to each other, and that never happened. That's why I was grounded for a whole entire summer. I was not allowed to leave my mother's sight. I was on lockdown. Towards the end of the summer, I feel like she let me go out. But I think I even like stuck back over there once to see him while he was home alone, but nothing ever came of that. He went on a couple like burner phones, I think a couple of times. I went on my iPod to talk to him a couple of times, you know, when you used iPods to text. Like Miranda said, she threatened to get me on birth control because she thought that I actually had sex, but I was like, I'm not doing this. I said I will literally scream and yell, and it's not going to go over well for you if we go through with this. And we got all the way to the doctor's office, and I was saying that. And they had sat down and talked with me for a second before they left to come back to bring the actual doctor in. And so then I left because mom was like, I'm not dealing with this. She's like, it's not my fault if you get pregnant. If you get pregnant, like, figure it out. And of course, you know, my mom's not like that at all. I think she's in the moment. I'm her only daughter. She's talking about this stuff at such a young age. What am I going to do with her? You know, you also had her not wonderful ex-husband there too, because she always tells them everything, which is fine. It's understandable. You know, they're your partners and stuff. And nothing came of that. However, like I mentioned earlier, he went to boot camp, I believe, for 6 months, and I was begging that he wrote me, but he didn't. I think he kept in contact with AS. I mean, obviously, because they're married and they have kids now. So, you know, they stayed together in the end, which, you know, happy for them. If they're happy, then that's what they wanted. Yeah, I mean, I got like, ooh, that was a very, very hard time, like mentally, and just from him coming at me one time and being like, hey, why, you know, I'm going to tell AS, like, I don't want her anymore and I'm going to break up with her and all this other stuff. And then at one point he's like, oh, and this isn't all in the messages. And he's like, oh, babe, you're going to come over and we're going to have a baby and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, we're not. And he was like, yes, we are. I said, and I'm not your girlfriend. When did I become your girlfriend? Your girlfriend? And he was like, when I said you became my girlfriend. And I was like, no, like, I'm not doing that. And he was like, yes, you are. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then that led into him saying, why did you send all the messages to my ex? Like, why'd you have to do that? And she read everything. She knows everything word for word. And I was like, she probably has. Either A, you're gaslighting the fuck out of me and you all are both in on this, or B, she has your Facebook password and she can read everything because she was somebody who hovered and like didn't trust him. So,
Rightfully so.
rightfully so. And I mean, eventually, I think he apologized a couple times. I don't know if he ever meant it truthfully, like and fully with his heart. I don't know if I ever like said, "Oh, I forgive you." I think it was just kind of more of like, why'd you do it? And he was like, oh, I'm just a trash human being, and basically kind of feel bad for me, like, boohoo me. And then, then randomly, one day in 2016, when I worked or was working for Disney, he added me as a friend, and he was like, so what do you do? And I'm like, this is what I do. And he was like, oh, cool. I don't know. Again, I'm not the one that reached back out first. He did. He is the one that added me. He is the one that he even added me on Snapchat, and we Snapchatted for a little bit during this time. Like not very long, not nothing came of it ever because like I said, he's been married since God, I don't even know, like 2013, 2014, 2015. And that was a whole hot drama. I mean, he came to RJ's Sweet 16, which was on a boat, and that was really fun. And he would basically just make fun of me and make fun of others, and we kind of became friends, but kind of not because he was still an absolute asshole. There, oh yeah, during the summer too, we went swimming at SB's house or his neighbor's house or something like that, and as I was getting out of the pool, he pulled down my swimsuit pants. I don't know if he was dating AS at this time or what, but I was like, what the hell? And eventually he became known as the package to me and my friends.
Not because he had a package. I just want to let everybody know.
No, not because he
Not
had a
not that
package.
any of us really know, but like I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm guessing no.
No, not in that sense. I just think like I didn't want to hear his name, and so that's I don't know who came up with it. If anybody any of my friend group knows why, you're more than welcome to let us know because I don't remember why that became, but it did. I believe he left middle of junior year or something like that, and I don't know what he did senior year. I think he was in the firehouse for some of it, like the fire station working. Never saw from him again. Heard from him again, 2016. But yeah, that was a hot mess express. Went on from 2 years, far too long. Basically, I feel like what if I could go back and say anything to past Megan about that whole situation would either be like A, don't break up with him 2 days after Christmas and like potentially see where it goes. But then also part of me wants to be like, no, you probably did the right thing because it probably would have happened eventually with I mean if he thought himself that much of a player, it was eventually going to happen at some point or another. I guess just like once you're done with him, like be done with him and like move on. There was no need for the back and forth drama between everybody and pulling your friends in it and pulling her friends into it and his friends into it. And I think I even wrote like a 6-page paper, 7-page paper, like explaining my side and how I wanted him back and whatnot. Oh, I did. And he got pissed reading it. Like I made it. I kept the copy for myself, which has now gone for I don't know how many years, and then gave him the printed copy to read. And I was like, sign here at the bottom or something like that. But it was like 7 pages of what I don't remember. And yeah, just a big old hot mess. And he also like dated another girl randomly in between that time. I believe her name started with an R. And uh, just that whole situation was terrible. I would just say just stay out of it. Like keep to your friend group. If you want to try to stay friends with them, try to stay friends with them, but keep yourself far away from anything more than a friendship with him because the whole situation's just bad news and you're going to be hurting at least for a year or two and having that space take up, all that in your brain because you don't think you're going to find anybody else. And I can tell you differently that there's definitely other people, better people out there that are meant for you and completely get you. And, you'll still fight, but you'll find somebody who's not going to treat you like garbage and, you know, on to the next.
Wise words, Megan.
It might take you a while. Especially for me. I felt so bad because all my friends had these boyfriends or girlfriends or whomever you want to date, and all throughout middle school, high school, and into college. And I was just kind of always like, well, when is it my turn? When is it my turn? And I had my fair share of, like, not really flings, but just like I liked somebody, and we would talk for a little bit, but then nothing would happen. It would never turn into like a relationship. And then I was like, I just don't know what's gonna happen. And then when I finally stopped worrying about it, again, it's so funny. People are like, just don't worry about it and it'll happen. And just like, yeah, yeah, whatever, whatever. But like, I legitimately finally stopped worrying about it because I was focused on, you know, a degree, or working at Disney, or working in the school place. And I just completely was like not worried about it, and then it just happened. So here we are today. It just happened magically. It appeared right next to me, sitting beside me 5 feet away. He has a headphone off now.
Now he's listening.
See, that's how I know he's listening. He's smiling. He's like, what? What'd you say?
Did you
Oh, I'm proud of you. Got all the
get all
lights
the
off.
tea?
I don't know. I don't know how much tea he listened to. He's probably too focused on Minecraft, to be honest. Oh, you got all the tea. He gave me a thumbs up saying he got all the tea. No, but see,
Okay.
that's I don't know. I feel like that's what I'm talking about. Like, not to. I know that you're going through all of your stuff and your divorce, and things happen, and I know that's really awful and that's really hard for it to like put on. But like, I don't know. At the same time, like, I know this sounds so stupid and like so cliche to say, but I feel like what I have with my current boyfriend is just something that I've always wanted and that I like wanted since I was in high school. And like, it's so like heartwarming and like nice. I feel like I'm gonna cry and I don't want to cry, but I feel like it's just like so nice to have somebody that like gets you, and you can do stuff with them when you can be in the same room with them, and you can do separate things, but like you check on each other. Or you just like, I have a gaming partner and just like somebody to tell all the stupid things to, even if he doesn't really care. um Gosh dang
Oh,
it.
you're getting sappy.
I am getting sappy, but yeah, and like actually somebody like who just does stuff for you. And like, oh hey, my boss said that he was gonna get us something for $100, but I don't need it. What do you want? Like, are you sure? Like, you don't have to give me anything. Yeah, what do you want? Okay. And I don't know. Like, even if he's a pain in the ass and gets on my nerves half the time, the other half the time, he's exactly just want to knock him out. All of his snoring. Sometimes I think about just taking a pillow and suffocating him. Just like, shut the fuck up.
I'm not hearing any of this. Oh, sorry. Sleep. I'm not hearing any of this.
You can't add in that twice. I don't know. Anyway, I'll stop being sappy. But if it, like, again, I could tell my younger self anything, it would just be like, don't worry about it. Like, your time will come, and it's meant to happen when it's meant to happen. And just continue on with life, continue on with what you're doing. Like, you have dreams and aspirations and things that need to be achieved and accomplished before you can, find somebody. So that's all the tea. Uh, all the drama that was happening in my life at the time. So I think we should go to Miranda's drama that was happening at the time.
A lot of my time with Casey was really kind of like blurred. Um, I can tell you like important moments of our relationship, like getting together and thinking that I like found this like very attractive teeny weeny guy. Okay, I'm gonna look back on it, like, his look from afar was very attractive, and I mean, I still think that he's, like 'cause, like, I'm friends with his mom and him and his cousin on Facebook, so, like, I still see, like, updated photos of him and everything, and, like, he still looks like him. He doesn't have his teeny weeny hair, and he doesn't wear skinny jeans anymore, and he doesn't wear, like shirts that are 2 sizes too small. Um, so, he's him. But, um, I was really excited. My mom hated him. She hated him with such a burning passion. She was like, "Just look at him," which, I mean, if you knew anything about my mom, you just know, like, she's not for that look anyway. Um, but it was very heartbreaking that, like, she would never even, like, give him a chance. Uh, Casey was very rebellious, and I think at that point, that was, like, the definition of 10th and 11th grade for me is, like, just rebel. Like, I was ready. I was like, I just didn't wanna do anything anymore that anybody wanted me to do. I can tell you that one of those dances that we ended up going to was, like, so stupid that this even happened. Okay, I'm just gonna say it out. I'll just my first. Ah, fuck. Editor Megan,
Yikes.
shut up. Uh, Casey was my first.
I didn't slip once. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. He was my first, and there was, I'm not gonna explain, like, how the first went and everything like that because that is, like, forever a secret.
Too much
Um,
info. We're not like what's her face on Ned's Declassified podcast survival guide.
no, yeah, she has gotten very vulgar with her. Like, at first, I really liked the podcast, but I think, like, I could never sit across from somebody and explain how, like, I gave them, like, a BJ.
Yeah, no. Sorry. Back to important things.
No, that's cool. But there were very inappropriate things that were often done on those school grounds. And I'm just gonna state right now that, like, I am a sexual being, but I think that with Casey, it was pushed to an extreme because of how desperate I was to gain his attention. Now, I don't know exactly how many girls he was talking to. I know like 2, 3 for sure. I'm trying to think of the one girl's name. SD. We were in middle school together. She did not end up going to high school with us very long. And then AF, which we talked about in a podcast earlier. And then also SN. But SN happened after we broke up. And to be fair, they were quote unquote dating. I only say quote unquote dating because he was still messing around with me while he was dating her. And I just don't really feel like that was, like, proper, like, boyfriend, girlfriend for her. But our entire relationship was basically like, how can I gain and keep your attention? And I think looking back, like, one of the biggest things that really aggravates me about that is, you know, I wanna know why she, as in Miranda, younger Miranda, was so desperate for that kind of attention. Because, like, I was never allowed to date him. We weren't allowed to go anywhere. So the only attention I was getting, like, was in the hallways. Was it because I just wanted a boyfriend? Or was it genuinely because I really liked him? Because I don't really think I liked anything about him. Like, I mean, he was funny. I'll give him that. Like, he was funny and he was playful, but, like, other than that, like, I hated his music. I hated his friends.
I feel like it was more of like a looks thing, but like I know there would be a couple times too where he would just be like outright mean when he was like trying to be funny with like me at least, and I can't speak for anybody else, but
No, he was like that. he picked on people to and he made people the butt of the joke. He I don't really know, like, looking back, I can't really tell you what it was. I can tell you that there was also, just like Megan and BO, there was talks about, not even marriage, like, we didn't even talk marriage, like, me and Megan are very different in that aspect, like, I'm not gonna speak for Megan, but I am not a believer in, like, oh, you have to be, like, married before you can have kids or anything like that, and I'm not a believer in, like, you have to do things a certain way in order to do it the right way, and I know that Megan and I, throughout our friendship, and we'll get, like, deeper into that, we have very, like, strong disagreements on that, but, like, our conversations were strictly just about having kids. Like, we never discussed, like, getting married or anything. I mean, I used to, like, write on, like, my books his last name, like, like Miranda C. I used to do that a lot. Anyway, there was, like, we were dating at the beginning for a couple months, and I started getting the attention of JA. He started texting me, and at this moment, Casey was like, I could tell he was, like, messing around with somebody else. I don't know if he was, like, physically messing around with somebody else, but I knew he was texting somebody else, like, just trying to get attention from somebody. And one of the girls that I mentioned before actually lived in his neighborhood, so, like, I was never to know, like, if anything was really happening. 'Cause, I mean, like, they lived only a couple streets from each other. And I remember I don't think you were there, but it was a Disney trip, and we went with RB ended up coming for my sister's, Disney cheerleading trip. And it was like I was taking pictures of myself in the bathroom, you know, the nudes, and I was sending them to JA while I was in Disney. Hey, thank you so much for listening to part one of Barely Surviving Boys in sophomore year. We really hope that you stay tuned and listen to our part two, where we get more in depth into different boys throughout the years. That's it from us. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. You're like, bye. And then you're like, oh, bye.
It's because I had to click the mouse.